right. Aiden,
All right.
are you ready? We can only do this kind of tier list once, and then maybe twice when title updates and expansions come out. But once, at a go,
Once for the beginning, and probably once when the
beginning of the end,
DLC drops.
and when the hype is at its maximum. So let's just cover the basis here. It's a Monster Hunter Wilds monster tier list. We're gonna do a little bit of overview of the game and the experience.
Based on how fun they are.
Based on a bunch of factors, not objective. And we're gonna do a little game review as well at the beginning. I've got my personal tiers: SS, S, A, B, C, and then D tier, and we know what is sort of included in D tier, the Nada tier. Base game to base game to base game comparisons between Rise, World, and this. Wilds clears. Wilds fucking clears. And as far, like, that's just on everything. On weapons, gameplay, world design. Maybe World has, like, more in depth. But I love that in this game, I'm not walking on my feet, spending 10 minutes draining my stamina bar, having to find a hot pepper, and spending 35 minutes in a hunt like I am in World. And instead, I can just hop on Secret, and let him go. People said the auto mode was going to be annoying and you wouldn't be able to learn the maps. That's bullshit. I know the maps, and when I want to just hop on Secret and eat a bite of something, or take a sip, or jerk off, or do whatever I want, while I'm going to go slay 10 bukkake, or whatever little monster I'm doing, I love that I can just hit up on the D-pad and let him take me there. And I don't have to think. And I just have to worry about the hunt once I get there. So I'm very much a fan of how they've implemented Secret into like this world's biome design where it is huge.
Except for when he's on auto run and he runs back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple problems where you kind of want to like slur at him and just say, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, why are we jumping back down? You know, the squid went through the wall. Obviously, he's not going to be right there. Can we start moving?" There's stuff like that, but it's, in my opinion, I'm such a big fan of the exploration with Secret. I still want wire bugs, but I do like that. And the last thing I do want to say, unless you have any other comment about it before getting the monsters, is the end game is so perfect, so addicting right now. And it could be recency bias because we finally got there, but we're talking...
I think it's only addicting because there's the abundance of like multiplayer quests where we can just join in a quest, and I think how they made the investigations where there's somewhat random, but getting a good one isn't like impossible to do, is also what makes it addicting.
Yeah, it's the RNG of like in Rise there was still a player base you could hunt, but you didn't ever feel like you needed to add people in those quests, and it wasn't that significant besides like a few maybe Geismagorm. World, the player base was dead as it should be, and I didn't really have any of that experience. But in this game, it's like, all right, you've done the base game 15-hour cutscene, not a bullshit. Now you've done the hunter rank, high rank up to 41, gather your experience, then do another main quest all the way through those guys. And now you're in end game where all you got to do, open up the map. Is there a sick fight or a sick great hunt with a ton of rewards? Mark it, investigate it, repeat hunt, or open up the lobby with the other 85 people in your world and find the craziest quest you can and just join it. And yeah, you can be a sleazeball like some people in this call, and you can join it when one guy has been fighting a double hunt here and he's on his last life and he's been putting 22 minutes into this hunt, and you can join at the very last second and you can steal it away and you can go hit the trap and get all the rewards as if you were there the whole time. Which is nice, but you could also...
It's nice.
But you could also be on the other end and be the guy who starts up the quest, and you have like all these crazy rewards, and then people join you, and you're like, yeah, fuck out of here, you're not taking my stuff, or like have them join and help you out. And I think it's such a sick system where there's a lot of like collaboration and teamwork and just multiplayer fun that I don't really get with a lot of... Like World, I never had that, but in Rise, remember when we first were playing with other people, I think about the... what's his name? Valstrax, the Crimson Glow Valstrax, where we had all those other guys like carrying our shit when we were Hunter rank 10 or something doing a Hunter rank 100 quest, and these guys were trying to just take us to the finish line and we kept dying. And all the discoveries of like the custom emotes and nuke inbound and all that. I feel like there was some fun with Rise's multiplayer, but in this, the addiction of lobby quests, who's got the best one? Can I sneak in and get the quick rewards? Do I want to do
I think it's more of like an addiction. Like you gotta check the lobby, like when you were impulsively checking the lobby quest to see.
Yeah, you mean like when it was 12 hours deep in the session last night at 4 a.m. and I couldn't keep my eyes open, but I was like, well, let's just see if someone else has one more Gore
Yeah,
Magala.
you're like, one more. Let's see if someone's got a tempered Gore Magala.
Yeah, we haven't seen a Jin Dahad here in a second. Let's see what's there. Yeah, so I love the systems. You have some problems with decorations. I don't think they're perfect either, but I think overall, great foundation, great game. Let's get into the monsters. Now,
well, first of all, overall, the monsters
we could do an overall of monsters. How do you feel?
Are such a higher quality than the other games, except for like a few. Like in World, I'd say Glavenus and Brachydios and a couple of others stand above the rest, but a lot of the other ones, they're just kind of mid.
They feel like they're low rank, just like mid tier monsters. Like they're meant to be. For
same with Rise. There's just a few that stand out, but with all of these,
I call it the bird problem. Like in Rise, they had half the low rank hunts, even high rank, had just birds that were barely bigger than a human, and
Kulu Yaku.
Yeah, and they had nothing going on with them. They had nothing going on with them. Not a single thing was cool. And it was just like, why are we even wasting this as a hunt? Just take some more time to design something better. But in this game, I feel like there's only a handful, not even a handful, less than that of those kind of monsters. All these monsters have a lot of uniqueness to them, whether it's
personality. They have personality above all else. Like Lala Barina, you're never getting it mixed up with Ner Sila. They're completely different hunts, even though they're both spiders.
Yeah.
And they both have the same skeletons and somewhat of the same attack patterns, but they have personality to them.
And World had this too, Rise not so much, but for a lot of these monsters, they have specific parts or areas that they're supposed to be. Like they have their own little lairs and their own interactions and traps and things that you can do with them. Whereas in Rise, it was like, oh, why don't we just throw a Valstrax in the middle of all these fucking birds and on Shrine Ruins, even though it makes no sense. In this game, it's like, you're fighting a new udra. I won't go into it all, but you're fighting all these monsters in their specific areas, and there's a lot of just cool moments and interactions you get from it. So, but let's do it.
They have their own battlefields.
The only one thing is they only have 29 monsters, which is less than both base game, Rise, and World. But I would say if I'm getting 29 high quality, better monsters, give me that instead of 40 mostly mid to bad, and then a couple of good ones. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So, in order, let's talk about Frogman. Let's talk about Tongue.
Chatacabra?
As a starter monster?
I think he's a B tier monster.
I think as a starter monster, he's B tier. If you were to say, if this guy was in high rank, as a high rank surprise, he's not B tier. He would be C or D. But for him being the intro, having kind of lots of good tells, slow animation so you can get the hang of the gameplay, and the big tongue, it's a great time, especially wailing on this guy. Like the amount of just wounds that you inflict, he just goes down hard.
The fact that you could just get to the right side of his front, you're standing in front of him, but you're standing slightly off-centered from the front, and you can just pound on him endlessly. He's kind of just like a fun punching bag.
Yeah.
And he's got some personality with the chin and the tongue.
Like an alligator, frog.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great monster to bully and fucking dismantle.
Like I said before, he's like a step up from all the bird raptors from Rise
100%.
and World.
I would rather fight him and all of that than 10 of the birds in Rise.
Yeah.
All right, Queef mattress. So what are we thinking here? I'm thinking C. A fat C.
I'm thinking still.
I'm tempted to put it in D tier. I really am. I can't fucking stand this guy.
I think he's a C actually. Like a lot of like when I think about Chatacabra, I'm I can like remember certain moves like with the tongue and stuff, but the only move that I remember from Queef mattress is the tailspin and the fire. That like what other moves does he actually have other than that? I can't think of them.
The things that I like about this one are, which are very few. I like that
He has a good visual design.
yeah, it's a rooster. It's unique. He's got the rooster head, but also when it gets me nostalgic when I go to Windward Plains and it's super sunny out there and I just jump over the rocks and he's right there in the open fields. I like that about him, even though it's not a monster specific thing. I also like that there's a part of the hunt where you basically take him. It's not going to show here, but like he basically goes in this Jedi Survivor little cave, and I love that it's like the finale to his fight. You go there and you kill him. Or and the other thing is that when you're fighting him near an oasis or in water, and he does the tail flip with the fire, it actually doesn't come out. So I think that's a cool mechanic.
Yeah.
But design wise, it's just a big rooster. Kind of annoying when you are on secret and you hop off and he does a half screen tail swipe and knocks you back down. But I mean, once you're kind of geared up and you come back to fight like a low rank or even a high rank, you just fucking disintegrate this guy.
I will say, if you fight this guy with a parry and he does the tail swipes, it is so telegraphed. It probably feels amazing to just do an offset attack and slam him out of it, or a parry and just destroy him when he's trying to hit you with those wide sweeping angles.
Yeah. And again, I would prefer this guy over a lot of the birds and starter monsters in other games.
Yeah, I would as well.
So I'm still going to give him C, even with all those remarks, because he's kind of frustrating to fight, and I think he is one of the weaker ones in this game. And this is like sort of an in this game tier list. Laal, barina?
I think it's an A tier monster.
I agree.
Super cool arena. I love the arena.
Webs. They have so many layers. Like all these monsters have layers to them, where it's not gigantic, but it's their little tucked little cubby, and they've got just something unique. I love it.
And the fact that its butt turns into a flower. The only real downside to this monster is the paralysis little flowers that it sends out. But that's kind of just because I don't like paralysis.
It's a cool, like, it's visually pretty impressive.
And the fact that it's basically like a ballerina dancer the entire time, but it's a spider as well. I mean, it's one of the coolest early game monsters that I've seen so far in Monster Hunter.
I think thematically and just the visuals of it are pretty cool with her arena and all the red and the flowers and the blossoms. But
not to mention, sorry to cut you off there, man, but not to mention the fact.
But sorry to cut you off, but I think it's a bad. I think it's a bad fight. I think it's a bad fight. Can I say that?
It's not a bad fight, because if you play with the hammer and you just slam one of her legs and she flips over, gets her legs knocked out from under her, or you just slam her in the head, it's so satisfying to hit those big hits right on her forehead or her front legs and just see her get flown back.
I'm going A, but I'm going low A, almost B, because she does have a lot going on to where she's unique enough and memorable enough to be up here. But the actual fight, when you're using dual blades and you're trying to, or even insect glaive, she's just constantly moving around. Her legs are super skinny and skimpy, and so it's hard to really get like meaty hits on her. And plus, like when you get hit by the paralysis field and you're just sat there staring at her, I think those kind of are some of my issues. But I do agree she's A tier. It's A tier.
Angala.
Dude, this guy's going S. He's going S.
S? He's an A tier for me.
No, he's S. He's S. He was
funny as shit.
Yeah.
His entire personality is just shitting and farting all over you.
I love, like, it was my first early game surprise. My first surprise in the game where I was like genuinely tweaking and having the time of my life. He reminds me a lot of if Wario was a monster in Monster Hunter. Just the sound effects too when he's ripping ass, like it's like Bo Raichu. I don't know what it is, but I love those kind of characters, whether it's a fighting game or a Monster Hunter RPG. Just the funny, goofy ones where they're meant to like make you laugh or have some fun with it. I really enjoyed like the way that he can just rip the fattest ass shards all over you like this. Just clouds. And I think he
And
goes
the
S
fact that
tier.
he interacts with the mushrooms in his
Yes.
surroundings. So he
Yes.
picks up like parashrooms and he can do like a paralyzing breath on top of that. But if he's near like toadstools or something else, he'll do a different attack after he eats it.
Exactly. That's why I think he goes S, because his base moveset isn't that crazy or impressive. It's decent and it's fun to fight, but the way that like he can change his farts and the blights that he gives you, whether it's fart breath or paralysis breath or whatever, it all changes depending on what he eats, and he'll just dig it up from the ground. And I just love how dynamic the fight gets because you're fighting in the forest and he doesn't really have like a prime location. He just kind of moves around and finds shit, and then he'll just eat it, and then the game will change from what he does. And like I said, just hilarious hearing him fart when you like get paralyzed, and then he'll eat another one and just shit all over your face. It's fantastic. He could be bigger. He could be bigger. He could be harder, but I still think he's S tier. Low S, but S.
I'd say top of A. I don't think he reaches the S tier for me.
I'm going C
Balahara?
tier. Maybe B
Yeah,
tier.
me too. Especially when you're fighting him with the hammer, his head is so wiggly and mobile that half the time when you start up like a hit on his head will move out of the way from it, and it's just so difficult to hit him.
And they call it a sand
Consistent.
leviathan, but that's such a disrespect to the leviathan name. Like he's just a mini snake with an interesting face. That's kind of like Geismagorm's. He's not that impressive, and the fight is so annoying. Like his body, he just kind of slings his body around, and he does that spit, and he'll sit in the sand like half the fight, so you can't even hit him. I do like chasing him down, and when you pull the rocks on top of him, like he has uniqueness to the actual hunt. But
And the fact that he creates the sand traps
Yeah.
where you like fall in.
But and the fact that he almost killed Nada, like that could have put him up a couple of tiers if he really closed the deal on that one.
Yeah.
But it's just one of the weaker fights in the game, I'd say, and annoying ones.
Yeah, I'd say so. Especially if you're trying to go for the head. If you're trying to go for the body,
You should have gone for the head.
exactly. But if you're trying to go for the body, it probably would be better. I don't know.
We've got
He doesn't have enough going on like in the actual fight itself. Like,
Yeah,
yes, he
it's-
has cool interactions where he can climb up on stuff and go underneath the sand and create pits.
It's
But
basically two
90%
attacks.
of the 90% of the time you're just fighting a wiggly, evasive monster that half the time, if you're swinging for the head, you're gonna miss because he just moves so much.
Okay, they do have both of them. I would say Doshaguma, also weak. I mean, we got a couple of stinkers here. He's not that bad.
He has the least personality out of any monster in this game.
Yeah.
He's kind of just like a big bear. And that's it.
I am like so uninterested by his design.
Yeah, me too.
And also I'm very agitated by his fight. I hate it. Well, the Guardian one's a lot better because I did some solo hunts of that guy. The one good thing about Doshaguma, whatever version, is that he bleeds like a faucet. I mean, this guy, he is so whatever the opposite of resistant is to my blades. When I cut this man up and I open up focus mode, which I'm always focus mode, he's got like 7 gashes everywhere, and I can just rip him apart. And so I like that, but I think his moveset is very frustrating since his body's just fat and big and hairy, and you can't really see what he's doing, and most of what he's doing is just throwing his entire weight at you.
Yeah, it's just like huge lingering hitboxes that if you're not out of the way, you're not going to be able to dodge properly. I don't know. And this was the first experience with one of my most hated trends in the monsters in this game, is the dragging moves where they just get low to the ground and
Yes.
they just walk at you. They just fucking walk at you. And if you're near him or you get hit, you're getting sent
And
flying.
even if you parry it or you dodge it, there's like a lingering, like the rest of the body's coming through, so you still get hit.
Yeah.
It's very
So,
frustrating.
and I think a lot of this guy's personality comes from like the non-alpha alpha
I was just about to say
interaction.
that. You're so fucking... Dude, we're on the same page. I was about to say, like, the only gimmick
But
is the packs.
yeah, but the only time you ever fight this guy in a pack is your first hunt against him. And you have to separate him from the pack and then fight him solo. But after that, it's literally just a solo hunt every single time. So
And
you're just fighting a big bear.
and you're never really fighting him, let's be honest. No one goes on a hunt for this guy. It's always like you're running to an Arkfeld and you just see this pissant on the side, like, kind of watching everything. And you're just like, hey, man, I remember you in low rank. So, I think it's weak.
I'd probably put him at the top of C just because he didn't annoy me as much. Actually, no.
I think,
I think he's going at the bottom.
yeah,
of
he's
C.
the bottom. Like, Queef mattress in the middle. I hate the Balahara fight, but visually, just the way that you kind of uniquely interact with the
He at
environment.
least has some personality.
Yeah.
Where Queef Mattress doesn't have that much, and Doshaguma has literally none at all.
I mean, I feel bad talking about this one. I feel really bad.
Duna. You know, after all we've gone into about like the aesthetic and the appearance and the iconicism of monsters, I think Duna goes from C to B for me. Yes, the fight is horrible. Yes, every hitbox is huge, lingering, and not only that, but he sends out a second hitbox with the wave that pushes you back, even if you're like sitting there charging an attack, it'll push you back and make you miss. But the fact that it has a unique arena, it has unique effects like the damage mitigation when his fins are out, and the unique attacks in the water arena, I think push it up to the bottom of B for me.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything. It's one where, like, it is. I would say it's the weakest Apex monster, sadly, because
By far.
it's supposed to be a leviathan. It's supposed to have this water thematic stuff going on, and I should love it, but it's so bad in terms of the actual gameplay and how it plays out. I wish that you every time you fought him wasn't just raining downpour cloudy skies. I wish it was in that his like lair where where he goes and does the tsunami attack.
Yeah.
I wish it was there, and I wish it was bright sunny weather, because that changes the fight
That wouldn't
dramatically.
make sense though.
What do you mean?
Why would the forest be flooding if it's sunny out?
It doesn't have to make sense. I've seen hunts where they actually like hunt this guy in the middle of the day, and he looks beautiful, and you can watch him go under the water and come out with the riptide, and he hops up on the platform, and you can see him in all his glory. And I think that it's a beautiful monster, but the fight, the way that he belly flops, the way that all of his moves just aggravate me, and
The fact
and there's
that
not a lot.
90% of his attacks are just him moving,
Yeah.
it's kind of ridiculous.
And it's just like him rolling on his back or whatever. I think it's the weakest. The only caveat, and I'm going to go and put him B, top of B. The only caveat is that I'm pretty sure a lot of the shield weapons enjoy this fight, because he has some moves and just interactions where you are constantly in a guard
You can
clash.
power clash.
Yeah, power clash. And so for those weapons, it can be fun. But like as a dual blade, it's not fun. As insect glaive, it's not fun. So it's the weakest Apex, sadly.
Yeah. Rumpopolo. We're
Rum
really getting
Palampa.
all the lower tiers out of the
I
way,
know,
aren't we?
the shitters. I would say B.
Is he C or B?
I'd say B. He's way better than these three, I'd say. Like, he's not annoying to fight. He has some cool mechanics, like and gimmicks when he puts his tail in the ground and he kind of does the fart bubbles, the poison bubbles.
Yeah, but that's also pretty annoying because it's the same problem with like Dune. Well, it's a different problem, but it's sort of the same. Like huge lingering hitboxes that you can't dodge while you're up close and near inside of the hitbox, you have to be outside of the range in order to be able to not get hit.
Oh, we're not playing this game with these unskippable ads, whoever this is. All right, IGN, we're not playing that game. We're not playing that one. But I think
will
that
say the design, at least, I mean, I don't know.
like the opening cutscene,
he's like a bird raptor, but he still has a cool, unique design with like the air sacs, and the fact that you can pop the air sacs and he can't do the air attacks anymore. I think that's a cool level.
and
I think I will throw him
like
up to B.
all these, the 3 and C tier, they don't really have a location or like a specific lair. They don't really have a lot going on. But this guy, you literally walk up, he has his own cutscene, you go into his lair, and you think it's going to be new udra or some crazy bad ass monster, and he's there, and you can shoot like the fire bubbles to do massive explosions in there. He's got a unique design. I don't love his design really. It's kind of a weird insect ant.
I like his design. It's like a what do you call it from the black bubonic plague? The bird doctors or whatever, plague doctor. Yeah, he looks like a plague doctor, and
Yeah.
I like the fact that you can pop his air sacs.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice when you can kind of pop all his fleshy fat parts.
And when you knock him down, just the effects of all the air sacs deflating and him getting flown to the ground.
That's why I think he's B. I don't think he's a terrible monster,
Yeah.
but he's very mid. He's very mid.
Very, very mid. Probably the most mid monster once you get out of Windward.
I mean, it's like I would honestly fight him over Duna though. But Duna just thematically, presentation wise, has so much more going on.
I would fight him over Duna, but I would fight Chatacabra over him because Chatacabra is just like a punching bag. You just get those huge, massive hits, and it's just so satisfying.
We'll keep Frog Boy up at the top of B.
Ray down.
Man, I love that fight. That's a
I
great
think he's
one.
SS.
Ooh.
Is that a hot take?
It's not.
The sound design
Yeah.
is beyond anything I've ever seen.
It's piercing.
Yeah, the sound design on this guy is, I don't know, exquisite. It's just better than anything I've ever seen by a country mile.
And thematically, like the cutscene when you find like the entire game, it shows that cut open massive structure in the background, and you go over there, and it's like lightning, and it's dark, and and you're fighting Arkfeld, and they're having their 1v1. It's such a sick setup.
In the middle of a lightning storm underneath a massive mountain that looks like a giant sphere.
And his design, like his face is so unique. His wings and his tail with the blue like crystals on them, and just the way that like all of his moves with the laser beams have these piercing, I'm going to eviscerate you feel to him.
Yeah, when he does like the mega laser beam where he folds his ears in and shoots that huge laser beam, that is so cool.
And
one of the coolest attacks I've seen.
I love that with the focus mode and all that, you punish those. Like after he does that, there's that time window where you can actually impact it and wound it. So it's a risk reward. You can stay up near his face to be able to punish him. And he was hard. I mean, we carded. I remember when we started that quest, we like both off rip. He did one of the big fire beam attacks and one shot both of us.
Yeah.
So I'm torn. I'm torn.
I would say he's SS. I mean, think about him versus like Rajang. I would rather fight him, honestly.
I'm gonna say. Here's my thing. In this game, there are probably going to be a lot of SSs, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with saying that there are SSs, and they can all be up there. I'll put him up there, but he's not like my favorite. I don't have the most hunts with him. I don't go out of my way to hunt him, but he is incredible, and he's one of the top tiers. I agree.
And also the fact that he's a flying monster with the flashbangs knocking him out of the air.
Yeah, he flies, but it's not an annoying flight. It's not like he stays up there.
Yeah, it's not like World Rathalos where he is only in the air unless you flashbang him and you only get 10 seconds to hit him while he's on the ground.
And I love when he does how quick he can get up in the air with the like wing slice attacks, and he does like the back-to-back wing slice where he drags it on the ground. No, he's awesome. And like we didn't fight. He was the only monster I didn't fight in the beta. So in the actual game when I fought him, I was really impressed. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think he's one of the better monsters in this game, which is saying a lot.
Ner Sila. Going in, you knew this wasn't going to be that good. You just knew. It doesn't have the fundamentals.
It's a spider, which doesn't really affect how I place it, but
it does.
It has sleep, and it has poison, and not only that, but when you like do like a super move on its face.
Not again, IGN. We're not fucking playing this game. Sorry, go ahead.
When you do a super move on its face and it doesn't get knocked down, it seemingly always follows up with that little venom tail poke thing that puts you to sleep. Oh my god, it's
a C tier. I'm tempted to put it in D. It's not that insufferable because it's not difficult to where you're gonna fail the quest, but it is so bad. Like, it feels like I'm fighting Somnicanth from Rise, where I'm just getting slept over and over, and whatever insert monster that poisons you. Also, the problem of Laal, barina, where skinny legs, constantly moving, hard to like lock down. It's unique. It has its lair and it's all its little hatchlings that you can annihilate. Like, that's great. Like, all these little guys.
Hatchlings,
yeah.
When the hatchlings go up to you while you're swinging on them and they all just get whirlwinded.
Yeah, it's like the Optimus Prime Transformers meme where I don't know if I sent it to you, but it's like him taking just his great sword and cutting open a robot. It's like me to all Ner Sila's hatchlings when they take me to the lair. I saw that. So yeah, I think like there is uniqueness to how you like the area that you fight this thing in, and the lair and the hatchlings. And it does have, what's that, Rachna Kadaki kind of vibes, where it flings itself at you and it throws the cocoons. But it's just not a fun fight, and the status is
It only has that when it's in this layer, though. Like, it only has, like, its acrobatic moves when it's here. It doesn't really hang from the ceiling in anywhere else.
And it just doesn't have a lot of satisfying engagements. Like, most of the moveset, when you're engaging with it, doesn't feel good.
Yeah, I think I will throw it in C. I was going to throw it in B.
I'm throwing it in bottom of C. It's probably my least favorite fight so far.
No.
It's got more going on than I'll put it above Doshaguma.
I'm putting it above Doshaguma.
Yeah, but I would rather fight Queef mattress. Just saying quite a lot.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I mean, can we get to some good monsters? Hirabami. This could be...
You know what? I actually like Hirabami. When he's in the air and he's too high up to hit him, yes, that's annoying, but you also have flashbangs and ways to avoid it. But you can chain stun the fuck out of this guy.
Yes,
you can put him on the ground literally the entire hunt. Knockout, paralysis, flashbang. There are so many different ways to get him out of the air that I don't really think it's stake. And not only that, I think they started out with the worst way to hunt.
That's the problem.
A triple gank.
It starts off on a bad footing. That's the problem. Is it puts you on this skinny platform against three of them that are constantly in the air, and you think it's the worst thing ever.
But then once you get to high rank and you start actually like fighting him solo in like actual hunts, he gets so much better.
He does.
It's so satisfying to hit him in the head, and I think his appearance with like the little like skin flaps that are hanging over him.
It's about to happen. Look at me. Look at this. Watch.
Holy shit!
What the fuck is happening? Oh my god!
That was my focus strike. I caught him when he fell down. So I had that insane moment when we first fought him. But yeah, I think it's got off to the wrong foot when you first fight a triple gank. I mean, what are we thinking there, guys? But when you fight him solo and he's up in the air and you hit him with like, what do you call those pods? Like whatever the pods are.
Heavy slicing pod?
Yeah, and he instantly falls down and you're constantly paralysing him or like keeping him on the ground. It's a good time. And I do think he's a unique design. But I just don't think it's anything more
I'm putting
than
it in top of B tier.
It's going bottom of B for me.
I I've enjoyed this guy much more after the first fight. If I were to rank this after the first fight, he would be bottom of C tier.
He would be D
But
personally.
probably D. But now I think he's much more enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gotten better over time, but he still can't go that high. Like, he's definitely not worthy of anything more than maybe B.
No, I don't think so.
A Jarikin. That's another strong one. That's an S tier.
Is he S or is he top of A? He has some sick moves, and when he gets up to the last area and he does the monkey bars shit,
Yes.
I think he is an S tier actually.
Yeah, he's got some spectacle to him with like the monkey bars and the rolling ball flip when he just charges it up.
Think about when we first saw him. He was just like a regular monkey with a cool design on his back. But then halfway through the fight, when he gets like magma arms and he's sending magma everywhere, he looks so much cooler.
Yeah, like in this base form, he's probably A tier. He's a good fight. He feels fun to fight. Besides the shoulder bash that he spams, he's got a good moveset, and he feels like you're fighting a monkey. But when he charges up and he adds all the big flame attacks and he's flinging around, he becomes S tier in my mind.
Yeah, and especially with this arena interaction. When he's up here, I think it's when he's up here and he's enraged, it is peak form Ajarikin, where he's doing the huge spin in a circle and then fly up in the air and launch at you with a huge explosion.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
He's
Yeah.
a lot of his powered up moves are really, really cool.
Yep. And he feels like he is the Rajang of this game. And I appreciate that.
I don't think he's like...
No, he's not on Rajang's tier, but he's at least like the substitute.
Yeah.
He's the second
He's not
string.
like, I'm going to kill you and then have sex with your mother afterward type feel. It's more like
this
he's
one?
just an
Is
awesome
this where he
monster.
does the flip?
Back it up a little. I think he just did it.
I don't think he got the chance. He just charged up.
He
Yeah.
turns into a ball.
I don't think he gets it. Let's see. He's just constantly staggering him. But
And the fact that his magma can ignite the oil slicks that you're in, pretty cool.
yeah, and it's not really him, but Oil Basin is probably my favorite area to fight with all the fire and lava and interactions you can have. And the fact that he's in there and he just traverses around, I think he's sick. I would say I would still put Kongalala above him. I just have more fun fighting Kongalala. Like the laughter I get out of him and the way that I can wail on him.
I definitely would not. I think Ajarikin is a much more fun.
This is going to be like a Davis take right here. The Kongalala, I get it. It's going to be like, oh, look at this dumbass. But yeah, he's still top of S for me. All right, baby. I mean, come on. This is SS. New Udra is, if there was an SSS tier, he would be there. This was my monster going into it. This was like I saw him in the trailers. I don't care that I was spoiled. I spent the entire low rank waiting to fight this guy. I had all the expectations, all the hype going into it, and he still was good for me. He was still amazing. I would say he's one of my favorite fights in the Monster Hunter series. It's just thematically, we know how it goes. Thematically, he's insane. I got kind of trolled on his weapon. I thought it was going to be the trident for the insect glaive. For some fucking reason, it's a Jarikin's, but his armor set, that's not really part of it, but the layered armor, fantastic. Some of the best looking shit. And his design, just how big he is, how slippery he feels. And I mean, I don't want to take like 10 minutes talking about this guy, but I just love his moveset. I love how he's got like all the tentacles that are constantly interacting with you, so you got to dodge and be quick on your feet. But then he's got these massive, like the fire breathing attack that gives you the Fatalis feel, and you can interact with that a bunch of different ways. You can jump over it with Insect Glaive, parry with dual blades, walk it down like an anime protagonist with a shield. He's got the fireworks kind of explosion attack that is not really positioning, but more like reaction. Hopefully you get kind of lucky. And just the way that he interacts with the map too. like his own lair, and when he squeezes through the walls, and the way that he's like climbing up here on this pole. I love how he just interacts with his map, and he's sleeping over here in the corner. He's just so unique, and I fucking love his design. It's one of the coolest monsters, even though it's mainly just a giant tentacle monster. It bricks my shit up so bad, and I would say, like, if he could actually give me a trident weapon instead of a Jarin, and if his armor was a little bit more useful than just the greaves, I would be hunting this guy and this guy alone.
I would agree with you to a certain extent on most of the stuff you said, but there are a few problems. Playing as a hammer.
I'll let you say it, but also when you get on top of him, especially as an insect glaive, and you're doing your wound attack, your mount attack, and he's like trying to stab you with all his tentacles, like all 8 of them, fucking best interaction on a monster. But go on.
Yeah, anyway. Playing as a hammer, hitting this guy in the head is near impossible. You're literally just swinging at his tentacles 90% of the time. Second huge issue with this guy and why he's in A tier for me is because, yes, he has...
Whoa, did you just say A tier?
Yeah, A tier.
You have Ray Dow in SS, and who's in your S? Who's in that S? A Jarin?
A Jarin.
You have a Jarin over the... Oh my...
I would rather fight a Jarin.
Get off this call. Get off this call. This guy is the best.
He has 360 degree attack range, so getting behind him, it's not like you're just completely safe and you can wail on him, which is cool. But 90% of the fight, you're just sitting in one of his armpits wailing on his side. And it's not like you're hitting weak points, so it's satisfying and huge hits and knocking him over all the time because his head is so far up that you can't even hit it. It's just like, yes, he's got a lot of coolness, a lot of personality, a lot of cool moves, spectacle, all that, interactions, all that good stuff. But when it comes down to the bread and butter of the fight, I spend 90% of my time sitting in, just like tucking myself into one of his armpits, spamming the same attack over and over again.
Also, first mention on the music, his boss fight music, incredible, super like cinematic and awesome. But I do agree on the weapon part. A lot of the weapons are the hunt's enjoyment is on the weapon itself, because as a dual blade player, doing Levi hack and slash Beyblade move doesn't feel that good on him. You don't go that far, and it's kind of lackluster, and it's annoying to like try and demon dodge all 8 tentacles. But as
if I fought this guy with the insect glaive, I'd probably put him S.
Yeah, that's the thing. I
actually could hit the head.
Like insect glaive, just flying over his breath attacks, staying on top of his whole flangellate body, and Gunlance doing the same thing, just putting him down or walking down the fire. It's a great time. So I would say so far in this list, he's my favorite monster. And spoiler alert, he's going to be one of my favorites, if not my favorite, moving forward. So just keep that in mind. But peak, absolute peak. And talk about the experience too. I mean, this was like the first time that we failed a quest in low rank. Up until this point, we hadn't failed. We got carded. We had 2 quest fails, and we were on last cart on the 3rd quest, and it was like the peak of the night. It was like 3 a.m. on the second night on like a Saturday when it was right before we went to bed, and we just put it all into this guy, and we overcame him, and just simply fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, everything outside of... I mean, I really... Like, if I just wasn't tucked into his armpit 90% of the fight, he would be in a higher tier. But that's what it is. It is what it is.
I get it from a gameplay perspective. Like, he's probably not the best of the best in this game, but thematically, me being the king of the seas and all that, I just have a smile on my face every time I get a chance to trade blows with this man. So he's the best.
Guardian Doshaguma.
Speaking of not the best, though.
B tier?
I'd say he's better than his base form.
Yeah, I'd say so as well.
He's not as annoying. Like his attacks are a little more telegraphed. a little easier to read. And the whole guardian, like whatever you call that extra sauce, the wyvern milk that they add on to each attack, I enjoy it. It's got that good sound design of piercing your ears.
Yeah, but it's still a Doshaguma.
It's still a Doshaguma. I'm
putting it in B.
I'm gonna put it right here in B, above Hirobami still. But yeah, there's not much to say. It's basically Doshaguma, but with like mommy's milk.
A couple
attached.
extra attacks and a couple extra effects on his original attacks.
Never going out of my way to fight him. And also, why the fuck did we get gangbanged by this guy when we were first fighting a Guardian Rathalos?
We just got unlucky.
Like,
we
that?
Just got unlucky.
He just intruded, just came over and made it more than a 15-minute hunt for some reason, but that's semantics. Guardian Rathalos,
A tier.
I gotta say, Rathalos is probably the best he's ever been in this game. He is genuinely a fun
by
fight.
far. I'm thinking about putting him in an S, actually.
Dude, I was gonna say this. Like, I hunted him
or S?
when I first hunted him. I was like, he's cool. I don't feel that bad fighting him as I did in like a Rise. But I would even say when I fought him solo once or twice, when you're engaging with his moves, it's a ton of fun. And there's a lot of reads and counterplay and.
He definitely doesn't stay in the air as much as he does in World, but he still stays in the air a lot more than like Ray Dow would. But also they put some sauce on the Rathalos attacks. The fireballs feel like fireballs, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes,
like
they do.
they have some impact to him. He still has the interaction where you can knock him out, but he still has some annoying moves where, like, if you slam him on the head, he can backstep into an immediate fireball and just blast you away.
Yeah, he still has the problems of being a dragon that kind of just floats in the air most of the time, but I think that it's alleviated a lot by the wound mechanic and how you can stagger him and knock him down. And I just think like the additional moveset, especially the Guardian form with the piercing sound effects and the follow-ups on some of his attacks, like the Talon slam down or whatever else he would do, I think it's really good. And I wouldn't say it's an S tier fight, but I would say like top of A. This would be this would be an A+ tier for me.
Yeah, if I had an A+, this would be A+. I think New Udra would also be A+ if I had it too. You know what? I'm adding an A+.
I think so too. I think we need to make distinctions. He's better than Laal barina.
He is.
A+. This next fight, man. This is gonna take a second. I don't know if you took a peek or not.
I did not have high hopes going into this fight. I saw a huge monster with huge hitboxes, huge lingering hitboxes that would annoy the fuck out of me. But that wasn't really what happened. There's so much depth to this fight. Like the fact that you can break the spines on his backs to prevent him from doing his most powerful attacks. The fact that I love the intro to him, where you're just meeting him in this giant ravine and he's crawling along the edges and you're trying to avoid him.
And like every time you hunt this guy, even though it's only really him, it's the most unique fight in terms of there's always a phase to a phase to a phase. Whereas like even with New Udra, he'll go to a different area in Oil Basin, but it's not like, and he'll go to his lair. But with this guy, this entire basically biome is his. And you just move to each phase to match him.
He's definitely like one of the most spectacle-y, and also the huge like insta-kill you attack is super cool. It reminds me a lot of, actually this entire monster reminds me a lot of Safi Jiva. He, with like the huge attacks, how it's a huge monster but it doesn't really annoy me. He's got the slams, he's got the breath, he's got the insta-kill AoE attacks that you can dodge by getting behind certain objects. But also, I think breaking the spines, like you could see how some spines are lit like glowing red and some are frozen in ice. And attacking the glowing red ones gives you extra damage, while attacking the ice ones gives you less damage. I think there's just so much depth to this fight that there isn't in a lot of other Monster Hunter games.
I was so torn when I first fought this guy because, on one hand, I was like, wow, this was a surprise. I didn't know that this was going to be a monster. Are we even going to be able to fight him? How big is he? And then when I actually fought him, like I just didn't do it as well. Like I was getting in the back of his, back feet, and I kept getting stomped on. I was like, oh, it's just the big monster problems. But when we came back, but then there was the insta kill attack on our first quest that we got surprised by.
We both got annihilated.
Yeah, we both got fucking deleted. And then there was a couple of other surprises throughout the entire experience to where it was like at the end I said, I like that fight a lot, but I need to fight him again to see if it's really just stomp, big hitboxes, or if there's some other depth to it.
And the fact that the low rank fight was literally just an intro, and he had a whole another phase after that in the high rank one.
Yeah. It's one now where maybe it's also the RNG of never getting tempered gen Dahads, but it's one of the it's to me one of the peak fights in this game where it's like probably top 3 as far as if I'm queuing up for a fight with 4 players, I want this guy.
Yeah.
And
I'd say so.
There's a couple of other notes about it. Like you mentioned the insta kill attack. That needs some more hype up because that fucking attack is literally insane. It is one of the coolest. It's like, yes, it's ice, but the way that he enshrouds himself in the ice wall, and then you have to knock down the glaciers and get behind your own, and you can get right up next to it, and you just see the flame coming out of it. It is so orgasmic. It's such a dopamine rush. And also just like I guess the one thing that I got to mention is the best monster for dual blades in this game. By far,
down his back.
There is no fight. I got a clip right here. There is no fight in this game that is as good for a dual blade than this one. That's the wrong weapon. Look at him, dude. Let's see if I can get it.
Fuck, what is happening?
Oh yeah, this is when we first died.
We were like, what is going on? What is he doing? Oh insta-kill.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I don't have the clip actually ready, but I've got a clip where like I basically got back-to-back Levi slashes down his entire body, and I nutted about 4 times when it happened. And I just think like he gives me so much Almudron vibes as far as once I get a wound, any wound or just any kind of lift off and I can do it, I'm riding on him. And that sounds bad, but I'm riding him for like a good 10 seconds and I'm just squealing like an anime fan. It's so fucking good. And it's my favorite monster to fight with my favorite weapon. So that goes a long way. I also think shout out his theme. He has the best theme in this game. It is like organs. Yeah. It's like this organ. I'm not a good music buff, so I can't explain it that much well, but I hear organs in it and it's hype. I actually turn off my Spotify every time I fight him because I love it. And so, yeah, he's only gotten better over time, and he's one of my favorite monsters in this game. He feels like he should be in an expansion. We do not deserve this in base game. We do not deserve this in base game. And yeah, it feels like it's a raid boss too. I love that about him. It's like a huge RPG raid boss feel. So I would say he's getting SS.
Not only that, but his design. His design is sick. He's got the baffles.
Have you seen
all along?
Have you seen that one image?
He looks like a CPU cooler. How it has like.
Look at these images. Like look at that. And like this one. He kind of has like a robotic face with all the metal scales that I love, and as a dragon, one of the coolest dragon designs. I mean, I would say, dude, he's so fucking sick. He's like top 3 fights in this game, top 3 best music in this game. As a fight experience, the way that it kind of feels like you're engaging with this gigantic dragon with insta-kill like sweep wipe attacks.
Like heat sink. Continue. Nothing.
Oh.
Continue.
I mean, this is where like it becomes hard because does he go? He's definitely above Ray Dow for a fact, but thematically he's not as good as New Udra. The fight though, using dual blades, sitting behind the rocks while he does the insta kill, and all the different phases of it, and just the spectacle. I mean, this is picking between children.
He's the top of my list so far. He looks like a massive heat sink, like the thing that you put on a CPU to cool it.
Oh, that's
which is
that gets you going,
fitting. Huh? It's fitting because he controls like the thermal temperature of each of the heat sinks, and I don't know, thermodynamics, like you take away heat from one place and put it into another to make something cool. It just makes sense. It all clicks.
Yes. And I like that in the second fight, the high rank fight, you get 2 of the insta kills. It's not just like it happens once. He's gonna hit you with that twice. And that attack wipes you.
And he's so much more dangerous than you think it is, because if you get hit by one of the ice attacks that freezes you in place, if he attacks you next, you're dead. You're dead.
Yeah, it's one, like, dude, there's so many things that you could think are wrong or bad about the fight that I had when I first fought him. Like, for instance, you need hot peppers and your stamina gets drained and you're constantly in the freeze blight or whatever it is. But it's so immaterial to the fight, it just doesn't even matter.
When they give you the heat bugs that give you that effect before you enter the arena.
Yeah, you can use endemic life to basically parry it all. So I'm gonna put him above New Udra, even though my heart, the smile on my face, wants New Udra at the top. I'd say as a fight, as a monster, this guy is a monster, and yeah, he's the best so far.
Ebony Adogaron, this is really the only monster where it doesn't really feel like anything is different from the world version of Ebony Adogaron, or better.
Explain that perfectly.
I feel like he's the same, and the extra effects are kind of just like there.
Yeah, it's like the only uniqueness is the wyvern milk attacks, basically.
Yeah, and the wyvern milk attacks, like it's not like he has new attacks. It's just adding an extra effect to an old attack that he already had in the previous game. I mean, I enjoyed Ebony Adogaron in World, but I'd probably still put him in like A tier.
Yeah, I have him A. I think he's as like a solo player too, it's kind of frustrating. He's so sporadic and just moving around and constantly knocking you over. If you're 4-manned, this guy's not standing up once, and he's getting fucking deleted. But
that is true.
As like a single player, it's kind of frustrating. I mean, I hunted this guy once. He's one of my most hunted because of the fact that his armor set, all of his armor, and I loved his helmet before I got New Udra and Jindahad's, the wolf mask. So like non-actual monster quality, like his utility for other things is really good, but I think the fight itself and the monster is A tier. And it's kind of like, I wish that they would have given us something new, not brought this back.
Yeah. And I wish they would have did something like they did with Rathalos, how they brought Rathalos back, but he's still an improvement, and he has new, unique moves in this game versus the older ones. Versus Ebony Adogaron, it's the same Ebony Adogaron, it's just an extra explosion after certain attacks.
Yeah, you can feel the changes in the Rathalos. You can't in this one.
Yeah. So I'd put him at bottom of A.
Yep, I agree.
Zoo-woo, or shuu.
Another one of the biggest surprises playing through low rank.
I think he's top of S tier.
No problems with that. Actually,
this monster feels more like a Souls boss than a Monster Hunter monster, in my opinion. All of his moves are like his tentacles swinging at you, throwing darts at you. There's no lingering hitboxes. It's not like you're gonna dodge through his arm and get dragged along with it and still get hit. It feels like a Souls boss, honestly. And his design isn't that cool, but once you get into his second phase and he gets enraged and he turns himself inside out and flies at you with those teeth, oh, that is so sick.
Yeah, like if he wasn't this, he looks like an alien, like a Bloodborne boss. But when he opens up his tentacles and you see the color and like the aquatic elements, he looks so cool. And I wish that they had that more than just when he does that one fly through attack. But I'm fine with it. Definitely one of my favorite surprises in the campaign where you're going through fighting, I think it was Odegaron, and then before you even got to go back to the camp, he just showed up. And I was so shocked. I was like, wait, another tentacle monster? I was super hyped. I do love his design, even though that's biased because Aquaman and stuff, but I love his design, and the way that you fight him feels good. His lair is also a lot of fun, like the lanterns and the uniqueness of him only really having that lair.
I think the real pinnacle of this monster is his moveset, though. His moveset is so cool. It's so satisfying to dodge and, like, evade properly.
Yeah. I'd say he's S tier. He doesn't quite reach SS, but he's, like, knocking on the door. I'd still am going to put Kongolala above him.
If he had more spectacle, I would put him above Ray now.
Yeah, if he had, like, I hope that they do in the expansion or title updates, give us him again, but give him like a frenzy or whatever you call him when they charge up, and when he charges up, turn that inside out move to where that's
into like his base form.
Yeah, that's his base form, and he has a bunch of just highly spectacle attacks that make you go crazy. And that would put him in SS. But right now, he just doesn't have enough to be in SS.
Yeah, he just doesn't have, like, the holy shit, insta-kill, drop your jaw attack.
Drop my pants, bend over, yeah. I'm still going to put Kongolala at the top because I have more fun fighting him. It's just maybe not as satisfying, but it's such a good time. But yeah, he's at the very top of S. Second to top.
Guardian Arkveld. This is my favorite monster so far.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
If I know that once I get to like a bow build that I enjoy and I fight this guy with a bow where the dodge does like a little parry, just like the dual blades, he's gonna feel so fucking good. All of his attacks are, I don't know. I just got a feeling. And
Before you talk about the fight, can we just shout out our hunter for finally telling Nada
to shut the fuck up?
Yeah, and be like, hey, buddy, I don't know if you know this, but I'm the actual main character of this story, and I'm him. I'm going to kill this guy. I don't care what you say. Great cutscene. I think I'm disappointed by the thematics of the fight, like the arena. I get that you like this area, but to me it just isn't visually popping or stimulating. But besides that, like he reminds me of he's meant to be this way, but he is like the Magnum Malo of this game. He is just
where it like all of the other monsters seem like somewhat grounded. Yes, there are aspects that are not believable, like not realistic, but they still explain it away in a believable way. Mm-hmm. Where this guy, it's the first monster where you're like, this guy is just magical. He's just got power overflowing, and he's gonna fuck you up with it.
Yeah, and it's everything about him, just like Magnum Malo. It's not just the fight and the gameplay. His design, his armor, layered armor, his weapons, his music, like his lore, all that is super cool. But even the fight itself, like when he has one of the coolest attacks in the game, and that's a lot of my measure is when can they give me the oh shit or like holy fuck that was insane. When he does the charge up and then he slams the chains down and then he does like that follow up chain explosion and it pierces the ears. That is one of the best looking moves in the game and most powerful.
He has the best enraged form in this game.
I could agree with that.
When you go from this, which is still cool, this first phase when he's not enraged is still cool, but when he goes enraged, it's like a completely different monster. He's throwing new combos at you. He's throwing huge explosions at you. He's throwing grabs and shit. His entire body or his chains turn red. It's just a whole nother experience.
That move too, where he like flies towards you and slings the chains. The
and
chains
his
too.
Attack after that.
Yeah, like the chains too. They add so much dynamic to his fight, where it's not like he has 4 moves that are very obvious that like he'll use over and over. He has such a diverse move set that you're constantly having to like learn and master, and then he'll just have these big explosive spectacle one-shot attacks that make him like a true fun in-game fight that's challenging but also fun and rewarding and
satisfying above all else. Dodging the chain attacks and like the huge explosion attacks just by the tip of your dick.
Focus striking,
so satisfying.
Striking his, or not focus striking, whatever, the focus attack on like when he does the run by chain sling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I knew I was gonna enjoy this guy, and I don't think he's my favorite monster, especially not the Guardian version, but I'm gonna put him.
Yeah, the Guardian version's below Jindahad, but the regular version is definitely my favorite.
I think mechanically he's probably more satisfying than both Jindahad and New Udra, but thematically and how much I just gush about these two, they're still above him. And that could be an understatement because he is such a high quality, incredible monster. Now, Zosia, this is a controversial one. I mean, what do we say? Like, yes, is there a massive blunder on Capcom's part to not make this guy reformable, not have his own gear, all that stuff, right? It is insane that we only get him in low rank, that he drops Guardian materials, and that's it. And you have to do SOS flares to fight him again.
Yeah.
But you cannot deny, I'm going to put him in the bottom of SS for those reasons. But if you could farm him, and he was a late game monster, and all of that, and you had 4-player lobbies just going crazy on this guy, I would say he is probably at the very top of SS. But I'm taking him down to the bottom for those reasons. I watched a guy explain it, and I mentioned it to you. It's not that he's Fatalis, Aiden. It's that he is the combination of all of these Elder Dragons. They showed off, I saw like this 2-minute Twitter clip. I'm not going to find it now, but they showed off like all of his moveset and how each, like all the different monsters that are similar to him. And so it was like Safi Jiva, and he had Geismagorm attacks, and he had Fatalis attacks. It was like all the big Elder Dragons. He basically had some of their movesets just all in his kit. And I remember fighting this guy like, yeah, we had the issues with the Link Party, and I didn't join you, and neither of us died and had a tough time with him. And so the actual experience wasn't what it should have been. But the fight, the monster itself, and what he's capable of, he's got to go in SS, and you could argue he's the best monster, best final boss they've ever made.
I don't know.
I would prefer Geismagorm, his appearance. His appearance is...
Like, if we are transposing wilds to... I don't even think that's a word. Or the right word. But if we are like...
it's an Excel function. I know what it does in there.
If we are like grafting wilds onto world, this guy is just Xeno'jiva to me. And Xeno'jiva is just an A-tier monster.
I don't remember Xeno'jiva enough, but I don't think Xeno'jiva had all these different attacks though. He has a couple of just nuke-wide, arena-wide spectacle attacks that I don't believe any monster has, and he combines all their movesets.
He's got a cool design. I like the fact that he can regen the parts he break off, and he can transition to the black form where he has fire attacks instead of just like energy attacks. But it's kind of like the same thing with New Udra. I spent 90% of my time in his gooch just swinging at his fucking ballsack. And
what's wrong with that? No, I get where you're coming from as, you not enjoying it as much, and there is like some clear flaws with the experience of this fight. But when you break down the actual mechanics and just him in general, the lore and all that, I think he's incredible. Also, as dual blades, he's maybe the second biggest monster too. So when you do Levi Beyblade attack, it's very satisfying. There's the arena wide. I'm trying to find it. This one, I remember I had a orgasmic moment when he did this, which you basically have to run to the back of the wall to avoid. Like, look at this, just insane. And then yeah, he does this, the fatalis. Like, look at that, and it breaks all the pieces off. I mean, come on. There's no monster that's doing that. And yeah, I get it. He does it one time, but he just has so many cool spectacle moments. Where do you rank him? I said he's bottom of SS. Like, as a fight, as a monster, you could put him top of SS, best in the game. But I think for the other reasons we mentioned, he's bottom.
I'm putting him in A tier.
Oh my god. Oh my god. This video's never gonna get a like with that rating. That is an abomination.
It's just like yes, he takes moves from all the other cool monsters of the past, but all the other cool monsters did it better. Like the Fatalis Flame, better than this guy's flame. And I don't know. It's just like, if I want that huge flame one-shot attack, I'd go fight Fatalis. I wouldn't fight this guy. If I want the huge energy burst one-shot attack, I'd go fight Safi Jiva. I wouldn't fight this guy. If I want a monster that's going to pound the ground and cause energy explosions, I'd fight Xeno.
That's Guys McGorm right there, that move. Yeah, and I do have another problem again with the...
and the homing lightning, god.
It's not homing. I don't know why you dislike the lightning. It's just cool. But I'm not a fan of the arena. Just like you basically same thing as Arkveld. Not that vibey or aesthetic, but the fight itself. So we differ on that one. I agree on the experience part and the replayability being a huge problem, but...
Yeah, and the fact that you can only fight him once. That's so cringe.
Yeah, so I get it, but all right. So let's talk about this real quick.
What a way to enter into match.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
By the way.
D tier, our first D tier.
Yeah.
What the fuck were they thinking with Yan Poo Poo? This guy, when I was going through it, and we just got off the high of Zosia, and I was like, man. Can you imagine what high rank's gonna have for us? Like, if this is low rank, and you go in the forest and it's super bright and colorful and it's vibing, you're like, okay, nice, we're gonna get something spectacle here, and you do all this trek all the way up to the top of these little tree villages or whatever, and then you get a bird.
First of all, the scenery is cool. Being at the canopy of the
That's what I'm saying.
forest
It's cool.
region is awesome. But not only is it a bird, but it's a triple gang. Just like Hirabami.
They were diabolical for this move. Just like Hirabami, like you said, the triple gank experience. What are they doing?
What were they thinking, honestly? And not only that, but the move where he waves his wings in the air, shakes his head back and forth, and runs at you.
One of the worst moves in the game.
It has got to be the worst move in this entire game. It has to be. And
I fucking pound my desk every time he does it, which is probably 30 times in the hunt.
And that's not even the only bad move he has. He has the same problematic type of move that all the other low rank monsters has, where he puts his face to the ground and just runs at you and just drags his beak along the floor. And not only that, but he has the multi-peck move where he just nudges you. Just a little nudge. So even if you're charging up like a huge hit and you know you're not going to take a lot of damage from his next attack, it nudges you out of it and stops your attack from going off. Ooh, God. There's just not much, if anything, enjoyable about this guy. Bad move.
You
That move is
just know
god-awful.
the devs when they were creating this in the game, they were like, guys, what if we give them like one of the sickest final bosses, and then check it out, they're gonna go into high rank thinking, what is this gonna be like? And then we're gonna take them all the way up. We're gonna make them do like a 5-minute run all the way up to the top to this crazy canopy, and they're gonna see a little bird, and it's gonna be a return monster. And get this, this is the best part, guys. Triple gank. They're not gonna see it coming. Like, it was the worst hunt I've had in this game. Was fighting this guy for the first time on a triple gank when I didn't want to use the dung pods, and I was getting fucking molested by 3 of these guys, just dropping their nuts and their faces on the ground and running all over me. It was so miserable. Even now,
and the best part is I did use the dung pods. The Alma was like, "Hey, you should use a large dung pod to make the pack split up." So I launched a large dung pod. It hit all 3 of them. And guess what happened next? They all left and moved to the same area.
Yeah, it happened
The
to me
same
too.
exact area. Like,
Well, not all, but like 2 of them. I like threw that shit all over them, and I saw one of them just like flying away, and I was like, finally. And then all of them started moving. I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll go chase down one of these guys to get my revenge. And I go over there into like
they
the
all
new
group up.
yeah, into the Duna arena, and there's 2 of them still, and it just like, God, it aggravated me so much. I can't believe that they made this a fight. They were laughing when they did that.
Yeah. And
Also another one.
is he really D tier though?
He's
Okay. To preface this, I fought Gypceros in Generations Ultimate. One of the worst fights in Generations Ultimate. It was such a laughably bad fucking fight. This guy, his entire fucking existence is just meant to be a fucking joke. His tail looks like an extendo penis. His face gives you flashbangs that stun you every 5 fucking seconds. And on top of all that, he has poison. Poison too. One of the most annoying fucking statuses in this game.
Why are we arguing where he goes then? You know what I mean? I think we've said it, right?
But they improved on him so much from Generations Ultimate, where my weapon was bouncing off of his body every half fucking second. And I didn't tell you this before, but I died to his fucking wake
Fake
up attack.
death?
After
Fake
you
death.
killed him, his fake death, I was carving him. Because in Generations Ultimate, you could carve him after he fake died. So I got the first piece out of him. He woke up, did that attack, I died, and had to go back.
Man, I wish I could have seen that. Yeah, and also we didn't hunt him for like a long time. You were supposed to probably hunt him right after Yon Cuckoo for some reason, just back-to-back shitters. And we just like kind of avoided it or just weren't really aware that he existed. And then when I saw him, which I've hunted him, I think once, maybe twice. I know I've hunted him once, maybe twice. He's got more going on than Yon Poo Poo. But is the more going on good? Is the more going on good? The instant flashbang that just stops you from playing the game, the paralysis poison, the thing that would make me put him in C is the extendo penis and how weird and long that thing goes. Like, that is kind of wild. But I don't.
He wraps that shit around your neck.
But yeah, I don't. I just can't in good conscience put him there.
Yeah, he's going to D. He's definitely not as bad as Yon Cuckoo though.
Yeah, he's not as bad. I think Yon Cuckoo, we can already look at the rest and just say Yon Cuckoo's the worst boss in this game. Worst monster. Yes. I wouldn't even call it a boss. It's a fucking side enemy. Raytheon?
But, yeah.
A tier?
I'd say he got the same treatment that rathalos did, where it's technically the same monster that they've had in pretty much every single fucking Monster Hunter game ever in existence. But they put some sauce on him. They put a little bit of sauce on him. I don't think he's as improved as rathalos is. That's why he's an A tier. And he still has fucking poison. But he's definitely an improved version. He doesn't stay in the air as much as Raytheon does in World. And when he is in the air, you can just flash him out. And it's not like you have 10 seconds before he goes back in the air and flies away or something. I never really felt annoyed like I did in World when I fought Raytheon. So he's definitely an improvement, but I think the improvements they made on Rathalos, giving him like new extra moves and stuff, are much better.
Yeah, I think it's like the mechanics with the wounds and the way that they've changed sort of how the flight works on these monsters to where it's actually more enjoyable. Definitely an improvement. I real like when I first found the Raytheon and I hunted it solo because you didn't join me, and it was a double hunt against a Queef mattress and that. I wanted to like hate it. I wanted to like force myself to hate it. I just went into it thinking like, oh, the tail swipe with the poison, gotta go pop an antidote and not play the game for 15 seconds. Oh, he does the tail swipe twice. But once you like realize it's a skill issue by getting hit by that, and you just put him on the ground or her on the ground.
And the base mechanics of Wilds just gives you so many ways to avoid it with like offsets, counters, adrenaline rush dodges, all that good shit.
Yeah, I think it's not a bad fight anymore. It's kind of enjoyable. Definitely an improvement from Rise. But I still don't think that it's weaker than Rathalos. The fireballs are a cool change, but it's still A.
Bulgur and Janath.
I'm going A like Odogaron. They're the same. They're the exact same to me. Like, I don't want repeat monsters. Anything that comes from World makes me cringe. And I didn't see
Well, that's your
anything.
opinion.
I didn't see anything different or anything crazy enough to put him above A. I honestly want to throw him in B because I don't like his design. I don't care about it. Also, I got to take a piss, so you can run this one.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm hearing you, by the way. I'm hearing you. You keep going.
no,
I can hear you.
yeah, for sure.
Talk to me about Fulgur and Janath. What are your thoughts?
Well, I already explained my thoughts.
Okay, so you think he's what? A
Well,
tier?
he's the exact same as he was in World. I enjoyed Fulgur and Janath in World more than I enjoyed Raytheon in World by a lot. But he's literally the exact same in World. The only thing that I could think of that would be different from this guy to the one in World is the sound design, which they did an excellent job on the sound design for a lot of these monsters, like Arkveld, Ray Dow, Fulgur and Janath, a bunch of them. But that was literally the only thing that I would note was good about him above what was in World.
Yeah, that's where I feel about him. Is the best thing is his sound design. I don't really like fighting him. His moves do have that powerful feel to them, but it's just not a fun fight for a dual blade player or even Insect Glaive when he's constantly fucking moving.
Yeah,
And I'm not the biggest fan of his design, even though a lot of people are.
I like his design, and I like how they kept the interaction where if you hit his legs enough, he falls over and stumbles and shit.
Yeah, it's nice when
Always
you
feels
cripple
good
him.
to smack him in the leg with a hammer and watch him tumble like a little log house.
I remember in Rise, one of my worst hunts, my least favorite hunts I've ever had, was I tried Greatsword for the very first time, and it might have been the only hunt I ever used a Greatsword. And I went to Lava Caverns and I fought this guy, and it took me 30 minutes, and I got carded, and I failed the quest. And I could not hit him. I kept whiffing on his hind legs. Could never attack. And but when in Rise also, when like you would have 4-man hunts and you would just constantly cripple him and take out his legs and tail and arms and stuff, and he would just stay on the ground. It was fun. So nothing to do with this guy though. I feel like we can there's a couple of these repeats where it's like Rathalos.
Rathalos is just like 2 positions lower for me. I'd say he's lower than New Udra, and New Udra's right behind Guardian Rathalos, but they're pretty much the same. He just lacks the extra move that Guardian Rathalos gets where he flies around and slams the ground and does that explosion.
Yeah, I agree. He's going in A as opposed to A+, just because he lacks that spectacle, but still a fun fight. Okay fight. You were downplaying this guy. I knew that I might enjoy him, and I actually did. Gravos? What's his name?
Gravios.
Yeah, I would say Gravios is A+, maybe even S. A+.
I'm putting him at the bottom of A+. He is fun, and he has way more spectacle than Bizarios. I mean, basically, he's a better Bizarios from Rise.
Yep.
But it's the same problem as Bizarios and Rise. All your weapon, if you haven't like opened up a wound or hit him in a weak point, your weapon is gonna bounce off of him, and it's annoying as shit. And that's what makes him far lower. But I think his design is cool. His fire breath attacks are the pinnacle of this fight, where he does like the huge, massive laser beam on the ground and flips up, kind of like Placidusax from Elden Ring. But yeah, I mean, if he didn't have the effect where your attacks bounce off of him, then he would be probably top of A+ for me. But it is annoying.
It's definitely his biggest flaw is, like, for a lot of weapons that aren't gun lance. If you're a gun lance player, you might really like this fight. But for a lot of the just severing weapons that bounce off him or don't get big damage, it's frustrating. If they made it to where it opened up his wounds or his parts quicker, it might have been changed, but
I think his design is a lot cooler than Bizarius as well.
Yeah.
Where Bizarius was just like he had rocks on his skin. This guy has like the holes, like the plumes coming out of him and stuff like that. If they made like fire come out of those plumes when he was enraged, that would be cool as well.
And his sound design is like top 3 in the game. His
roar is the most piercing roar in the game. It is so loud, and it's just like Bizarius in Rise.
Yep. All right, I go A+. I mean, might even put him below Rathalos just as far as fun factor. Blade Ganga, it's kind of like a disappointing high rank monkey fight. It's okay. I'd say A tier at best, maybe B.
I would rather fight Hirabami than Blade Ganga, but I have Hirabami higher than you do. I think I'm putting him in B tier. He's like a worse version of Kangalala, where he doesn't have the shit or the funny shit or the interactions where he eats different mushrooms and has different attacks. It's kind of just like an ice monkey. And that's it.
There is like the whole underground stuff that he does, and he can do like a back kick. That's why I think he reminds me more of a...
Oh, I forgot about the back kick.
He reminds me more of a Rajang than Kangalala does.
Yeah.
But I don't think he has nearly the same presence and just memory of a Rajang.
He definitely does not. But he is a lot more acrobatic than Kangalala is, by a long shot. And I think the moves where he does like the flying punch, where he jumps at you and does like a Superman punch, I think those are pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't think he's terrible. It's just like as a high rank fight, a couple of other
Compared to all the other high rank fights, he kind of was a disappointment. But the bar is set so high that if this guy was in World, he would probably be a lot higher.
Yeah. Oh, man. Let's do, I guess, the other Arkveld real quick. Like, it's the exact same. I don't know a single difference. You could tell, you could say there is, but I don't see it. Unless
the only difference is that the second Arkveld is immune to elements, pretty much.
I would probably give it to the tempered one, the late game, in game one, because he's harder, and if you may have an extra move or like I don't even know, but they're the same. They're top tier, S tier.
They're somewhat the same. The only reason I put Guardian Arkveld lower than normal Arkveld is because when I think of Guardian Arkveld, I think of that first fight where Nada's talking his fucking head off and flip-flopping back and forth as to whether he wants to kill him or save him and that annoying shit. But the new Arkveld doesn't have those detriments to me, so he's definitely my favorite.
And I also like the Guardian one when he goes to drink the milk to recharge. I don't know if you remember that, but yeah, they're the same. They're both SS. I still, Gore Magala. Oh, man. I mean, the hardest monster in this game as you've witnessed and you know,
By far.
it's
I
like
mean,
you can't join someone else's quest without seeing someone get one shot and dying and failing.
people say that Wilds is easy. And yes, for half of the or like the entirety of low rank, it may have been easy. But once you get up into these higher rank monsters, and it is just extremely exemplified by Gore Magala. There, I have not fought Gore Magala without carding at least once in a group, anything, and someone has died. Someone, and not only that, but when you get afflicted by the frenzy, you may get extra affinity, sure. So you're doing more damage, which is actually a bonus, but you're also taking more damage. So if you get afflicted by frenzy and then you get hit by one of his breath explosion attacks, you're pretty much just getting one shot. Even with like fully upgraded gear, the best gear or armor you could have, you need like bonus defense or something in order to survive more than 2 hits from this guy.
Yeah, I love Gore's design like I always have since Rise. I just think he's such a cool looking monster. And I don't even know if he does that like where he changes the color of the map when he changes phases. I don't even know if he has that in this game. I can't remember. But the reason why I've got him in SS. He's deserving of SS, but he's going at the very bottom right above Zosia, even though Zosia is better. We talked about why Zosia is at the bottom, but I'd say it's because that like he's a returning monster, so there's that lack of like surprise and newness that I want out of these top tiers. And it's also that I don't know what it is. I'd rather fight a Raydao, an Arkfeld, a new Udra, a Jindahad. Like I've fought this guy before, and I don't think he has enough uniqueness and spectacle to what he should be. He's hard, he hits hard, and he's difficult, but I don't know if he's got just that pop to him.
Honestly, I fucking completely disagree. Going from Rise to this, he may have he may honestly have the exact same moveset without a single new move. But this guy he has the Rajang vibe where he is going to fuck you in the ass and have sex with your mother afterwards.
And I appreciate that.
I do appreciate that. But also, the fact that he has that level of difficulty makes him feel like a different monster. And also, the effects are just so much...
Oh, he does
not
do it.
amplified. But the effects are so much cooler in this game. And that's just basically off of fidelity, but... I don't know. He just feels like a different monster from the Gore Magala in Rise. The one in Rise, it was just like, yeah, he might be a little difficult, but you're still gonna shit on him most of the time. This guy, it's like, if you get through a hunt without someone carding once, then you guys are like god gamers.
Yeah, I think my problem is like my in-game experience fighting him has been, as we know, seeing some poor soul 15 minutes deep and then hopping in right when it's done. So like I feel I just need to get in there and have an 8-star tempered version and try and solo him for like 10 hunts, spend a few hours just getting bodied. I feel like I need that to give me that Rajang feel. Even though I know it's going to be there, I just haven't personally felt that. And I do agree that like versus Rise, I feel like in Rise there was never really I'm gonna die to this guy, even though he was kind of fun and a good monster. And in this one, he's definitely got more of a menacing feel. I all these guys are unique, they're new, and I just would rather fight them, and I just think they've got a little bit more sauce.
I mean, honestly, I would rather fight Gore Magala than Raydao.
Yeah, I just have to fight those two more. They're very similar to me, though. I think Arkveld's above them both, and I knew
Yeah,
Udra
definitely.
and Jindahad. But that's all 29. I feel like we both have similar tier lists, besides a couple like Zosia and New Udra. We're pretty much in agreement on what's bad and what's mid, and I have the most monsters in one tier are in my SS, which is a fantastic sign for what's to come.
Yeah.
Jindahad is
If
the
we
best.
got rid of the duplicates like Arkveld and Guardian Arkveld, my top three would be Arkveld, Jindahad, Gore, Magala.
Argvel Jindahad.
Which is, I don't know. They just feel like the best three monsters by far. And looking at my tier list, I don't have like a ton in SS, but I feel like I could fight Arkveld longer and have more enjoyment than any other monster than that I've faced so far. Like I might have Rajang in SS, but um fighting him in World, I could fight him like 5 to 10 times and then I'd be bored or sick of him. Versus I've already fought Arkveld 5 to 10 times pretty much in a row, and I'd still want to hop back on with bow or the same weapon I've always been using and fight him again.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's got a very like satisfying kit to master, and it's very rewarding to like figure out all the dynamics of him. So, yeah, my top three: Jindahad, thematically, just the uniqueness of that hunt and his one-shot attacks, and just how hype it is. He's got to be top. New Udra, if it was a little more in the armpits, if there was a little more to it, he would be the top, especially thematically. He's my favorite. And then Arkveld, just as pure gameplay, the fun and the satisfaction of that fight. That's why he's my third.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I think they did an amazing job.
I do too.
I
I'm
mean,
very excited.
A through SS has like way over 50% of the monsters.
Yeah, the quality of these, and this is sort of like in comparison to the game itself. Like that's the benchmark that we're using.
If we were comparing these to world monsters, a lot of these would be bumped up.
Yeah, like all the B tier would be some of their better monsters in a lot of ways. Maybe
probably not some of the better monsters, but some of the slightly above average monsters.
Like the A tier, the A plus and A tier are like well regarded, very respected monsters in world.
Yeah, the A tier and above, I would have fun fighting any of them any time.
And Chatacabra.
Chatacabra, he's always a fun punching bag, but he's in B tier because he's a punching bag.
Yeah. Very impressed with the game, very impressed with the monsters. Love it to death. Basically 50 hours deep, not even 7 days out. And I'm very excited to see what title updates and expansions have. What they can cook.
Yeah, I wonder what sauce they're gonna add to Mizutsune. If they do like what they did with Rathalos, but just like a step further, Mizutsune could be like an borderline SS tier monster for me.
I agree. I love Mitsutsune's design and being Leviathan. I just hope that they either add a new area. It doesn't have to be a whole new biome, but like add a kind of a new just side area that we haven't seen before, and that's their lair. I don't want it to just be randomly on the map somewhere.
Yeah. People had a problem with them bringing back Mizutsune, like a return monster that was in Rise, the most previous entry, but Mizutsune was one of the more fun monsters in that game, and I don't...
And when you think about how all the bubbles and the dancing on the ground and all the mechanics and gimmicks of that fight in this game with Wilds, it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it could be really, really fun.
And there's also the hidden other challenging monster that they're not talking about. I hope it's Zosia, and it's just a farmable Zosia. But if not, it better not be. It better not be one of these guys. That's all I'm saying. If you give me one of these,
if they're saying it's a challenging monster, like one of the more difficult fights in the game, I feel like it's got to be like an pseudo elder dragon. Like maybe they're adding like Devil Joe or something.
People are saying like they could see Shagara Magala because of Gore.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, yep.
We'll just have to wait and see.
We will.
I'm excited. I feel like once this game gets all of its content out, it will be so much better than anything else in the series
I know. That's the thing is like
by a long shot.
even when I'm trying to just compare base games to base games, I'm like they already have so many sluggers and so much quality systems in the gameplay and even like the final in-game sort of grind that it's already matching in games of the other games. And if they just add more monsters and more content, there's no way it's not going to be the best game in the series.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see what they do with the new monsters that they're gonna add.
Same. I can't wait to
And the
see a
new
third
skills.
I can't wait to see the third tentacle monster, what that guy's going to look like. Holy shit.